Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be taking a look at the Gloomspite Gitz Squig Herd and also the Harbingers of Destruction book and seeing how we can use them for Warcry. So here's our Squig Herd box, and in this video I'll be looking to put a warband together using these miniatures, but I also got lucky last month and was able to pick up some of the Zarbags Gitz miniatures. And I got this little set on eBay and it was about £10 plus delivery, so I was really chuffed with that. But first of all, we'll unbox the Squig Herd, take a look at the sprues in detail, then we'll have a look at the miniatures that came with Zarbags Gitz, and then finally we'll go through the Harbingers of Destruction Warcry supplement book, and then we can go through all the individual fighter types, their abilities and their stats. Here we go, so here's our Squig Herd for the Gloomspite Gitz. And great looking set. You're going to get 12 miniatures and 10 of those are going to be Squigs, and then you're going to get the Squig Herders. And looking on the back, it looks like we've got some variation here, which is going to be cool. We've got the Squig Pipes, the Squig Prodder, another version of the Squig Prodder, and this Squig Herder with some symbols there. So that looks awesome, and we've got lots of character coming from these Squigs. And then on the back is our paint guide, and so there we go, that's the box. So let's open it up and take a look inside. And I got this Element Games, and it retails for £27.50 at the moment, but at Element Games you can save up to 20%, and I'll put a link in the descriptions below, and if you use that link, it's an affiliate link, it won't cost you anything extra, but it will save you that 20%, and for every sale made through the link I get a small commission, and that's going to help me do loads more videos like this. So thanks so much for that support, really appreciate it. But let's get the goodies out of here and see what's included. So let's tip it all out. So we get our bases, and that's everything in the box. Let's put that to one side. So the bases are tiny. I'll measure those in a second and we'll get the actual size. But it looks like we're going to get one half a sprue, or one like small sprue, and then a double sprue there. And then we get our instruction book. And you can see these are really small. So I thought the Squigs were going to be a lot bigger than they are. But when I got the Zarbags Gitz, I didn't realise they'd be so small. But it's going to be really fun to have a bunch of them running around. So I can't wait to get these built. And I think you've got to look at getting some bigger ones. Maybe some of the Squig bosses and things like that. But let's have a look at what comes in this set now. I'll put the bases to one side and I'll measure those in a little while. We'll take a look at the sprues close up. And then we'll have a good look through the instruction book. So the base is worked out at 1 inch or 25mm. So there we go. But here's our first sprue, and this is the small one. So let's start with this. And here we go straight away. We're right in there on a really cool one. This is the guy with the bagpipes, and that is so cool. That looks great. That's going to be really fun to put together. And then we got the cloak there. And all the different prodders. So this must be the one that dangles down maybe with a mushroom. That's the really kind of more menacing looking one. The faces are brilliant on these guys. Look at that face, it's so funny. That looks more like is that a mask? I'm not sure. That might be the Squig kind of boss mask, it looks like. But really nice. Oh, there's the guy with the symbols. So this is really fun. We've got lots of choices here. And this must be the stand that one of the jumping Squigs goes on, maybe. That's one of their legs, it looks like. So that's the first sprue. And then now we've got the double sprue. So there we go, that's the double one. But let's zoom in on that. So yeah, these are the Squigs. So they're really small. I mean, if you compare them to a 25mm base, you can see just how tiny they are. But we're going to get lots of those. So we're going to get 10 in here. And they've all seem to have different faces. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we've got the one that's in the mouth. That must be that one. We've got some, there must be the back of the mouth there. So it's good that you can have them open and you can kind of see inside. But these faces are awesome. Bags of character. They're going to be so fun. And I'm not sure how I'm going to paint them yet. I'm thinking like different colours. Because you wouldn't have all of these in the warband because the points will be too high. So I figured doing some different coloured ones might be quite fun. This one's really good with the teeth clenched like that. That looks great. Look at that. Really fun. And there's the other side. So this is all the legs and everything. It'd be interesting to see just how many different variations and different poses we can do with them. There's a few here that are kind of stood up, look like they're jumping, like this one's jumping over the mushrooms. So yeah, it'd be good to see how many variations we can get. And the backs, there's their tails, these are all their tails. So some really nice details. I think they're going to be quite fiddly to build, but once they're done, they're going to be great fun. And then painting's going to be awesome too. But there we go, so that's the sprues. Now we'll take a look at the instruction book. So a nice instruction book, full colour, which we like, and it gives us 2 variations there, and a third, and then all our different squigs, all jumping around, looking great as we open it up. So look in here, it seems they're all numbered, so it seems like they're going to go together in specific poses, but we've got, what, 5 different body parts to put together there, so there's 5 different like poses if you like, and maybe 10 poses, so they might all be different, but it looks like those are all set. So you build the set, the 10 poses as they say there, and then you're going to have all these different combinations of the bodies, which is pretty much just a mouth with a tail, and then I guess you can line up whichever body you want with the legs maybe. So yeah, it looks like these are just the mouths actually, the mouths and the jaw, and they'll just go on the body. So it'd be good if you can put whichever one you want to, that'd be fun. And there we are. And we got some extra little mushrooms as well that we can dot around, so that's good. So yeah, it looks like we can put those however we like, so we can really mix it up. So that's going to be nice, make it nice and unique. And then here we can either have the Squig Herder #1 or the Squig Herder #2. So we've got bagpipes or cymbals. So I don't know which one to go for yet. I quite like the cymbals, but the bagpipes are pretty fun. I think the cymbals might be worth going for. And here we can see putting it together is going to be pretty straightforward. And then we've got a choice of another couple of Squig Herders. So we've got Squig Herder 3 and 4, and they've got different kind of tools there, different prodders. Yeah, so different prodders. A little variation here, but nothing too much with the mushroom hanging down. I quite like this one with the mushroom, but that's a cool looking weapon, isn't it? So I'm not sure yet, I'll have to think about how to put them together. And here's a colour guide, so we get the paints on the back, but we also get this one here. And this is more for the traditional method, so no kind of paint guide for the contrast paints, which I'd really like them to start including, but not to worry, we can figure this out, no problem. This still gives us a good idea of what we can use. And I did a video on the app, the Citadel Colour app, which is really great for giving you some colour schemes for different miniatures, and that actually breaks down what contrast colours to use for different models. So if you haven't seen that, then check it out on my channel. That's really great and gives you a good idea of what colours to use for different miniatures. And so that pretty much sums up how to build it. And then if you play Age of Sigmar, you get all your stat cards here for all the different miniatures included, and some nice images on the back. This is nice. Sometimes these are like black and white, these instruction books, but it's nice to get them in colour, and some pictures make a huge difference. So really great. And red's like the kind of traditional colour, I suppose, for these, but I'm definitely not going to do them red. We're going to mix it up for sure. So there they are. There's the instruction book. Next we'll take a look at those miniatures that came with Zarbags Gitz. So here's the Zarbags Gitz, and I just got the miniatures. I didn't get these with the cards, but these are another set that came out with Underworlds, and I've recently just managed to get a set that comes with the cards because I've started playing Underworlds now. So I've got another set of these coming, but they'll be with the cards for Underworlds. So I'll probably do these and the Squig Herd as one kind of set, all themed with colour, and then maybe do the ones for Underworld a different colour. And again, we can still bring them in, but I wanted to have like a custom Warcry set, I think, for these. So it's getting more and more difficult to find Zarbags Gitz, and I got really lucky here, picking this up for £10 plus the delivery cost in the UK, so I was really happy. And in the set, you get 2 Squigs, and here they are. Let's zoom in there. So you get 2 Squigs, and this gives you a good idea of them built. And all the bases with the Underworld sets come pre-formed, so you don't have to do anything about that. You just paint them up. So there's the Squigs. We also get 3 of these shooters. There's 1, 2, and 3. You also get this guy who looks mental. He's been drinking the mushroom juice. He's on it there. And then we get a netter. Here's the netter. So that's a great looking one. These all got to be trimmed up. So they came built like this, so I'm going to take them apart, trim them up properly, and then glue them together. And then we got this guy. So this is a Squig Herder, I guess. And then finally this one, which I suppose is like the leader. And this is a great looking leader. So this is who I'll be using probably as the leader for the Warcry Warband. So there we are. So what a great set. You get like 9 miniatures there, and for £10 plus £2.90 postage, I was really happy with that. Okay, so next we'll take these miniatures and the Squig Herd, and we'll have a look in the book, and then we'll see what we can build using them. So here's the Harbingers of Destruction Warcry supplement book, and these books are amazing. If you haven't picked them up yet, I definitely recommend getting one that suits your kind of warbands that you want to go for, whether it's Destruction, Death, Alliance, or Order of Alliance, or Chaos. And I've done videos for each of these books, so you can check those out on the channel where I go through them in detail and give you an idea if that's something you want to pick up. But for this video, we'll just look at the Gloomspite Gitz. So let's open it up, and they're on page 14. And these books now pretty much eliminated all the cards, so you don't need any of the fighter type cards, but because they're all included here like this, but you will need to print them off, I think, if you want to use them. But here we go. So in the book, it breaks down all the different warbands and factions, and it gives you a little bit of background and explaining why they're in the 8 points and what they're up to. And you get some really nice artwork, some great photos, and you can see here they're going up against the Scions of the Flame, 2 totally different warbands. It'd be really funny, but these just look so fun to play, so I can't wait to get them built. But here we are. So, and again, so you get your little background, and then you get your fighter abilities and your leader abilities, and it gives you all the different fighter types you can use, and it puts all the cards here with all their stats, and then more there, so you've got loads of choice. And it also lets you include the Gobapalooza, but they've got some different abilities, so that's fun there. But you can include them in the same warband, so you can mix and match. The Squig Herd box, you're not going to get a huge amount of variety. You're not going to get loads of different fighters. You're pretty much going to get the Cave Squig and the Squig Herder. And then it's up to you if you want to use any of those for a boss kind of figure, and then it's really like just swapping them over. So you won't have the Loon boss, but you could use one as a Loon boss, for example. The Shaman's not going to work that great. I don't think any of these are really going to fit along with that. You might be able to use the Moon Clan boss, so you could swap one for that. So you've got 2 options of the figures you use for the bosses there, and that's just in that one set. And so looking at the points, you can see a Cave Squig's pretty high. It's 140 points, so you're never going to need all of those miniatures. So you'd pretty much have a Squig Herder, and you'd have like a boss, and then that would probably leave room for about 5 or 6 Cave Squigs. So you're not going to need a lot of those miniatures. And even if you go into campaign mode, where you can have an extra 400 points, you're still barely going to get 3. So, you know, you're not going to use a lot. But if you want to play just with that Squig Herd, I think it's going to get a little bit boring, and so having some variety in the play is definitely going to help. And I think that's where these Underworld sets come in really handy, and especially with the set, the Zarbags Gitz getting 9 miniatures. They're so varied, and we get the Stabber with net, and we also get the shooters, so we get 3 of those and that, so that's opened it up already. And then that's going to leave us with these 3, which is this crazy guy, and this one, and this one. So I'd probably use this one, zooming close, I'd probably use this one as the leader, and I'd be looking maybe a Loon boss for him. And then this one, I'd probably be thinking of how I could use him as like a kind of champion maybe, I'm not sure which one. Or I'd be looking at the Gobapalooza and maybe picking out some of these. So I was thinking this one, drinking like the mushroom juice. This one, I was thinking he would make maybe the Brewget, and that would be quite fun to include him. And then this one, he could maybe be the Spiker, or we could look at a hrewmancer, because he's got the bucket on the back. So there's loads of options of how you can mix and match it. But I think what would be good is if we just go through some of the main ones, and then you can see some of the stats, and then we'll talk about the abilities, and that will give you an idea of kind of how the Gloomspite Gitz are going to play. Okay, so our first one we'll go with is the Cave Squig, and these are all the Squigs that come in that set, and they're 140 points each. They got a movement 4, toughness 4, and can take 15 damage. Their range is 1 because they're going to be biting, and they can make 4 attacks, strength 5, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. And then for their rune marks, they're going to get the Gloomspite Gitz rune mark, and also this rune mark here, and so that's going to apply to an ability or link it with an ability. And then we've also got the Squig Herder, and he's just 45 points. He's got a movement 4, toughness 3, he can take 8 wounds, and he's got a rune mark here and the faction rune mark. So this is going to be linked with this kind of beast rune mark. So those two normally come together, and you'll need him to be able to take full advantage of the cave squigs. And the Squig Herder, he can attack, range of 1, make 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 2 on a crit. So this guy's not going to be one you want to include in a fight. He's really there to control the cave squig. But let's look at their abilities and see how they tie in together. So here we go. For the Gloomspite Gitz, the fighter abilities, all of them are going to get the double called Backstabbing Mob. And here a fighter can use this ability only if there is a visible friendly fighter within 1 inch of them. Until the end of this fighter's activation, add 1 to the attacks and strength characteristics of attack actions made by this fighter that have a range characteristic of 3 or less. So a bit of a mouthful, so let's just break it down a little bit. Okay, so this is a really strong ability for a double, and if you use this with your squigs, this is going to deal some serious attacks, especially when they've got that high strength already. So they just have to have a visible friendly fighter within 1 inch of them, and you're going to be using these in little groups and packs, and they can add 1 to both the strength and the attack characteristics of attack actions made by them with a range of 3 or less. And they're going to have a range of 3 or less, and it's until the end of their activation. So this applies to both actions. So if you choose to do 2 actions, attack actions, then you can apply that to both of them. So that's a really strong ability, and it's only a double, which is crazy. The members also get this quad called Sneaky Stab. This fighter makes a bonus move action. Then they can make a bonus attack action. In addition, if the fighter targeted by that attack action is within 1 inch of this fighter, add the value of this ability to the damage points allocated by hits and critical hits from that attack action. So, well, that's another really strong ability, and if you're getting 5s or 6s, you can apply that 5 or 6 to all hits and critical hits. So that's mad, but it's just for 1 attack action. So this isn't for the activation, it's just let's have a look. They can do it, yeah, it's just that 1 time. So that's really good though, because I mean this quad where you make a bonus move action and then a bonus attack action is included in the universal one, but having this addition, being able to add the value of the ability to the critical hits and hits, that's huge. So these have got some great abilities. That double and quad are really big, and they're going to be really effective. And we still haven't got to the one that applies to the Squig Herder and the Squigs, so let's do that now. So you'll see here on the abilities that beast rune mark that the Squigs have isn't on here, but this one that comes with the Squig Herder is, and this is what we want to use when working with those two together. So this is a triple ability called Go That Way. Pick a friendly fighter with the beast rune mark within 4 inches of this fighter. That fighter makes a bonus move action. Okay, so this is cool. So these herders, this plays into the narrative. Those herders are trying to make those squigs go where they want, make those move actions, get in the fight. And so with this triple, you can get them to move, and then that would allow them to have 2 attack actions if they wanted to during an activation. So that's pretty good for a triple, but for me, that double and quad are really good. So there we go, that's the ability for the Squig Herder and the Squigs, and you really want to combine them and keep those Squig Herders out of trouble, really putting the Squigs in there to take the damage and also deal it. But let's have a look at some of the other fighters now. Fighter is a stabber with barbed net, and they're coming in at 45 points, and they've got a movement of 4, toughness 3, they can take 8 wounds. They've got the faction rune mark and this one other rune mark here, and their weapon range is 1. They can make 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 2 on a crit. So again, they're not putting out much damage. The points are so low, so we've really got to look at the ability. So let's check that out now and see what ability they're going to get. And they get the double backstabbing mob, and they get that quad because they've got the faction remark. But now we've got this double called barbed net. Pick a visible enemy fighter within 3 inches of this fighter and roll a dice. On a 3+, until the end of the battle round, that fighter cannot make move actions or disengage actions. Okay, so this is a pretty cool ability, and it's a double, so you can really start tying up the enemy fighters. And if you use this guy with your Squig Herd and Squig Herders, then that could be a useful tactic. You know, you can stop them disengaging, stop them moving, and then just pound in those squigs, really dishing some damage out. So that's really great, and only 45 points, so that's really cool. And next we've got our shooter, and he's coming in here at 65 points. He's only got the faction rune mark, so no others. And he's got a movement of 4, 3 toughness, can take 8 wounds. He's got 2 weapons. So here he's got his ranged weapon, minimum 3 inches, maximum 12. Can make 2 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. And then his second weapon, if he gets up close, is a range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 2 on a crit. So the damage output isn't a lot for these, but those squigs are going to make up for that. And ability wise, this guy is just going to get the double backstabbing mob and also the sneaky stab. So even these low pointers, if they use this double, they can add 1 to the attack and strength characteristic, and that's going to apply to their activation. So for one like this, keeping the range, you're probably not going to move that much. So you can then start making 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. So that could be really effective. And also if you get a quad 6 and start using that, well, that's going to then dish out 7 and 9, and from a distance as well. That could be really good. So there we go, that's the shooter. So now we've got to look at a boss. I think we've got a couple of options with those miniatures. We've got the Moon Clan boss and the Loom boss. But the Moon Clan boss is only going to get 1 leader ability, but this one gets 2. So I think it's going to be better to have 2, and for 25 points, I think that's a lot better. And then you could use the one with the mask from the set, and I think that would really suit this one. So let's go with the Loom boss, and that's 175 points. Got movement 4, toughness 4, can take 18 wounds. We've got the faction rune mark, the leader rune mark, and 1 other. And the range of the weapon here is 2, can make 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So this isn't bad at all for a little guy like this, but let's see what the abilities are for the leader. And so, just like all the other members, he gets the double backstabbing mob and the sneaky stab, but now he's also going to get this one, the triple, called Stab 'em Good, and this is a leader ability. Until the end of the battle round, add 1 to the attack's characteristics of attack actions that have a range characteristic of 3 or less, made by friendly fighters while they are within 6 inches of this fighter. Okay, so this is really good. So we can add an add 1 to the attack characteristics, and this can be by any number of friendly fighters as long as they're within 6 inches of this fighter. And it doesn't say they have to be visible, just so long as they're within 6 inches. So if he's got some squigs within 6 inches of him, that's powerful. And that's a triple, so that's really nice. But he's also got another one, and that's a quad. And that's called I'm the Boss, now Stab 'em Good. Until the end of the battle round, add the value of this ability to the attack's characteristic of attack actions that have a range characteristic of 3 or less, made by friendly fighters while they are within 6 inches of this fighter. This is crazy, so if you get 5 or 6, you can add that to the attack characteristics of attack actions by all the amount of friendly fighters that are within 6 inches of the leader, and they don't have to be visible again. That's insane. So if he's got 3 squigs and they're within 6 inches of him, and he uses a double, which is 5 or 6, those squigs could potentially be dishing out 9 to 10 attacks, strength 5, 2 to 4, and they're only 140 points. That's crazy. So these abilities are strong, man. These Gloomspite Gitz are going to be really strong to play. But that's brilliant. So yeah, definitely taking the Loom boss over the Moon Clan boss now, 100%. So there we go, that's the Loom boss. But we've still got 2 other miniatures, and I think let's have a look at the Gobapalooza and see how we can use those. So for me, I'd be using the Brewget and the hrewmancer. And the Brewget is 85 points, and he's got 2 rune marks and the faction rune mark, and this is the ally rune mark, and another one here. He's got a movement of 4, toughness 3, can take 12 damage, and he's got a range of 1, can make 4 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. But for me, these are all about the abilities, so let's check out the ability here. And this is a Loon Shine Potion, and this is a double. Pick a visible friendly fighter within 3 inches of this fighter. Until the end of the battle round, add half the value of this ability, rounding up, to the attacks characteristics of the next attack action made by that fighter that has a range characteristic of 3 or less. So he can just pick 1, and then it's got to be within 3 inch, and it's got to be visible. And so yeah, if you've got high value again, then you can add to the attacks characteristic. So it seems all the abilities for the Gloomspite Gitz are about improving that attack characteristic. So that's a great one. It's only a double, and for 85 points, I think that's pretty good. So now let's look at the next one, the Shrewmancer. So again, our Shrewmancer is coming in at 85 points, and he's got the faction rune mark, the ally, and 1 other. He's got a movement of 4, toughness 3, can take 12 damage. His weapon range is 2, attack 3, strength 3, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit. But let's check out this ability, and this one's a triple called Fungoid Cloud. Pick an enemy fighter within a number of inches of this fighter equal to the value of this ability. Until the end of the battle round, subtract the value of this ability from the attacks characteristic to a minimum of 1 of attack actions made by that fighter. So there we go, he's using the mushrooms and he's knocking out, making that guy a bit high, so he's going to limit his attack actions for, and is it for the battle round? Until the end of the battle round, so that would apply for his whole activation. So that's really good. But it's got to be close enough where the number of inches equal the value of the ability. So there we go. So, I mean, all these Gobapaloozas are 85 points, very similar, but just with the different abilities. So it's good to have a good read through and see which ones you like and see if you've got a model that can match them. But I think for me, the Brewget and the Shrewmancer are really funny, and they match the miniatures that come with the Zarbags Gitz set. So there we go, that's everything that we've covered in the video, and I think to make a warband for the price of a Squig Herd and a £10 set of Zarbags Gitz, if you can find them, I think that's really good value, and we're getting lots of choice with lots of different fighter types, and I think they're going to be really fun to play. I'll put links to the Squig Herd and the book in the description below. I won't be able to put a link to Zarbags Gitz because they're just so hard to find. I think really you have to just get lucky if someone's got them in stock or finding them on eBay. So hopefully you can get them, because I'd really recommend it. They're really well worth it. So let me know what you think about this as a warband, and if you've got an idea of what you could use for a warband to accompany the Squig Herd, certainly. It'd be great to hear from you what you think. Also, if you've been playing the Gloomspite Gitz, it'd be cool to hear how you get along with them and how they play, because those abilities look so strong and these look so fun. I think they're an awesome warband, and I think just looking at those abilities, trying to imagine them going up against one of the original Chaos warbands that came with Warcry when it started, I think they're going to struggle. I think these guys could dominate quite easily. Although for 140 points, you're not getting an awful lot of squigs, but still, you're going to get enough to do some damage. But yeah, it'd be great to hear what you think and to get some ideas and feedback from you. So join in the comments section below, that'd be awesome. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful to you and gave you a good idea of what's included in the set and some ideas on how you can incorporate that into your Warcry game. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Gaming.